The playoffs are here, and you can predict the action all the way to the finals with FanDuel Predicts. Predict the spread, the total points, and even the game-winning moments that make the playoffs. Sign up and get a $25 bonus with FanDuel Predicts.
Offered by FanDuel Prediction Markets, LLC, a registered futures commission merchant. 18-plus bonus is non-withdrawable and expires 7 days after receipt. Trading derivatives involves significant risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Manage your activity with their consumer protection tools. Restrictions apply. See terms at FanDuel.com/predicts/bonus-offer-terms.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Excuse me. Taxi. Okay, man, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
Friday morning would not be the same without the 7 o'clock hour. Brian Kilmeade and KT McFarland. That's a great hour. And Brian, of course, does a phenomenal job following me each and every weekday morning here on ABC at 10 o'clock. And then he's got this TV thing. He's a big star. He's on Fox and Friends every morning, part of that great threesome. And then his own show, my favorite show, the best show on cable TV, 10 p.m. on Sunday nights, One Nation on Fox News. And this is particularly a great Friday because that show, which I love, I'll be back on. That's right, folks. The ratings are always huge, always. I'll be back on One Nation on Sunday night. Also, coming up later on this morning, I'll be live on Brian Kilmeade's radio show, heard on about 150 radio stations across America. So a lot of Rosenberg and Kilmeade, Brian, coming up.
210 radio stations. So that'll be great. You'll close out the final hour of the week, and it'll be great, Sid. Of course, it's unscripted, and you'll be in studio. And then an hour later, we'll be working on doing our show for for Sunday. And we have so much to talk about in New York. I mean, not only the good stuff like the Knicks. Sorry about that. But Jackson Dart, we got to talk about that. And I also want to talk about this mayor not marching in Sunday's parade. Now, whatever you say. I'm pretty sure I know where you're going. But these are national stories now.
No, they're huge stories. And, of course, a week ago today, I was at that Mike Lawler event in Rockland County when Jackson Dart introduced President Trump. And I know it's old news now, but President Trump called me up on stage. He spotted me in the audience at the end of the rally. And he called me up, and he and I shared a very nice moment together. But I knew as soon as Dart introduced Trump, and he didn't just show up, by the way. President Trump invited Jackson Dart. The White House invited Jackson Dart, and it should matter. Like my friend Jason Whitlock, who has a very popular podcast, said earlier this week, hey, when black guys do it, Le'Veon Bell, Trump, nobody cared. Lawrence Taylor, Trump, nobody cared. A bunch of other guys as well. But when the white quarterback introduces Trump, people like Abdul Carter get angry. So the Giants called a team meeting. A bunch of players spoke, and John Harbaugh told his players, please keep this stuff in the locker room. But the big mouth, the big trouble was Abdul Carter, who was yet to make a big play for the Giants. How about sacking the opposing quarterback, Abdul, you jerk? Nobody got mad at you when you voted for Kamala Harris. In the meantime, the meeting on Wednesday, Abdul Carter, no show. Had some bullcrap family excuse. So the Giants seem like they put everything to rest, but not really because the loudmouth was Abdul Carter. He was not even there on Wednesday, Brian.
Sid, good job. I did not know he did not show up. I know Brian Burns spoke and Thibodeau spoke, and I would say this. You brought up good points. I'm going to bring up another point. We watch all the LeBron James basically have a rally for Hillary Clinton, have a rally for Kamala Harris. No one says anything. They just expect it. And you know what? You do what you want. I don't think anything less of LeBron James. I'm not surprised he's voting for Hillary Clinton. I never thought about it again, but he's actually raising money. Jackson Dart is from a conservative area. He agrees with Trump. He likes Trump. You should not be embarrassed by that. Plus, we're over that. These guys, all the teams are showing up at the White House, almost all of them anyway, after they win a championship. They're having a good time. I have no idea if this guy named Saquon Barkley voted for Trump, but man, do they get along? They golf together? What is the problem with that? You know, Barack Obama was introduced by Steph Curry. I don't have a problem with that. This is an honor. You're in New York. You're the New York Giants quarterback. Hey, you want to introduce the president? Of course I do. Are you kidding? Sure. Get up there. Plus, you know, the president loves sports. This guy's no phony. He loves competitors. He's got the UFC octagon being built in his backyard right now. So I'm astounded. My hope is I don't want to read that Jackson Dart apologized. Please do not apologize. If you don't like that he said go Big Blue and associated with the Giants, let the Giants handle that. But he just says, hey, President of the United States, I'm in New York. How's it going? We're going to win a Super Bowl. Back to work. So that's it. And, Trump brought it up a little bit with the interview that's going to air this weekend. He said, great-looking guy, don't worry about the backlash, and he shouldn't. I don't want Jackson Dart to apologize. That is key.
I agree with you, and he's a good-looking guy. I was standing 10 feet from him, in great shape. You can see why it's hard to tackle him. Great legs, which President Trump brought up. He said, hey, ladies out there want to play men's sports. You want to tackle that guy? I don't think so. Then he said, hey, Jackson, stay out of this. It was very funny, but you're right about Trump in terms of being a big sports fan. He was on with me. You know that about 3 weeks ago, I was the first person to ask him about the Knicks. Now, at the time, the Knicks had just beaten the Philadelphia 76ers. Hadn't even played the Cleveland Cavaliers yet. And Trump said, look, this is a great team. They're great guys, and I really like Jim Dolan. I'm really happy for Jim Dolan. He mentioned Embiid. He knows his stuff. Then you get this doofus, wicked witch governor here in New York, Kathy Hochul, who signed her big budget yesterday. She comes out talking about a 93 championship team. They were a great team, no question about it. Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Horace Grant, B.J. Armstrong. The problem is they were the Chicago Bulls, not our New York Knicks. She's 20 years too late. So if you're Kathy Hochul, instead of picking on President Trump or the fact he didn't go to Junior's wedding, how about shutting your mouth? You clearly know nothing about the Knicks. Her and Mamdani, the two biggest Knick fan phonies in the country today.
So did you see all the video that popped up of businessman Donald Trump showing up in the 90s to a Knick game and Marv Albert noticing him? Did you see the Isaiah Thomas pass him the ball and in a suit hit a jump shot on Madison Square Garden in the 90s? So, ladies and gentlemen, he's a legitimate sports fan. He's actually made himself a soccer fan. Actually, I was at the club championships last year, and he's asking questions to the FIFA president, like great questions. I'm a soccer guy. And he's like, why are they overlapping here? Why don't they go up here? Why do they keep diving like that? And I'm saying to myself, this guy wants to be no soccer in as much as he does basketball and these other things. So there's a lot of vulnerabilities for people. Like, for example, when Hillary Clinton runs for Senate, she's suddenly a Yankee fan. Nobody thinks she's a Yankee fan. This is not a case. They don't even know. They just know that whatever Trump does, they just think that he's not telling the truth and he's vulnerable to some type of political attack. But she's totally inept.
Inept. And you brought up the soccer. I'll go here quickly because I know you love the sport, and you were there at Pier 17. I saw you on South Street last week, or this week when we announced our 26-man roster for our team. I had Andrew Giuliani on this show a couple of days ago. He's the point man. He's doing a great job getting us ready for World Cup action here in New York. 26-man roster. I don't know these guys, but names that they were upset were left off the team. People like Tessman, I guess, Diego Luna. You know these players. What do you think about the Americans' chance of at least competing, if not winning, the World Cup?
Okay, for those people who are sports fans and are open to it, some people just hate soccer, and there's nothing you can do about it. I played since I was 5, and there are certain people that just say, it's a foreign sport. They're still on. There's a few left. I think we've gotten past that. But having said that, if you just want to know who these guys are, just go on HBO. There's a 2-part series on HBO Max that go through when they blew it in 2016 and they didn't advance. They lose to Trinidad, and they rebuilt the team. They go to Qatar and got to the knockout round, and they tied England, the number 2 team in the world, which is pretty awesome because they dominated England. That's what they're capable of. So that's real. This same team, nucleus, is just older and better. They have 11 teams playing in the top leagues in the world. We used to be lucky to have 2. And they used to be there basically coming off the bench. Now you got all these guys making an impact overseas in Germany and Italy and in England. So it's pretty awesome. And they're American-born, American-trained, American-bred, and they just say, we're better than the MLS. We can go over there and play, and they're doing it. So this guy from Argentina can get these guys to jail. Remember, they're not the best players, Sid. You want the best team, how they work together. So working together, maybe there's some talent that you just mentioned that should be on the team, but I'm just going to trust the Argentinian coach is going to be the coach of AC Milan when he's done with this. And I think he's got these guys. If you get them close, with 75,000 chanting USA, USA, they get out of the knockout round in first, which they beat Paraguay last year. They beat Australia last year. And in Turkey, they beat them the last 2 times they played them. And they have a tie. They get out of that round in first place. You are not going to be able to find a seat in a sports bar, let alone a stadium. That's how excited Americans will be to see him in the knockout round. And just like the Knicks, not many people, they look at the Knicks go 3 seed. Hopefully they'll get past win a couple of rounds and maybe get lucky and upset the Celtics. Well, who thought the 76ers was going to beat the Celtics? Who thought the Knicks was going to win 11 in a row? I think it was least likely for the Knicks to win 11 in a row for the USA to get to the quarterfinals. You get to the quarterfinals in soccer, you can play against a better team and you wait for one counterattack, and that's the game. That's the frustrating and the great thing about soccer. Frustrating because you could be better than a team and you could outshoot a team and lose to that team. And he put 10 defenders on the roster for a reason. It's defense first. So I think you got a situation where I think Americans can rally around these guys. You get America going, and I'm telling you, it'll be hotter than a Super Bowl ticket if you can get them to the semis or even the quarters.